Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Precious Metal Summit in Zurich, and we are here now with our first interview partner, Velocity Minerals, and Keith Henderson, the President and CEO, wants to give us an insight and, of course, an update because it's already 2 years ago when we spoke the last time. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. How are you?
Perfect. All good. Thank you very much, and great to have you here. So, Velocity, maybe you remind us shortly where you are based, what you are doing, and then let's dive into the company.
The company's TSX listed. The symbol is VLC. We're also listed in the US and in Frankfurt as well. When we first met, we had just started. We were probably 2 months in. This was November 2017. We'd just begun drilling. We had a single project and a Bulgarian partner helping us. And since then, things have progressed very significantly. At that time, I would have told you that we were planning on producing a PEA in just 13 months after beginning. And we were hoping to deliver that in September 2018. And that's exactly what we did. So we're in the habit of meeting our milestones and giving people what we say we're going to do.
Fantastic. Can you maybe give us some key data on the PEA?
Yeah, the Rohstoff PEA was done at $12.50 gold. It returned for us $130 million NPV5 after tax and a 33% IRR. We thought that was a good result, but we made a very conservative PEA. We didn't want to overestimate things, and we basically went with a 0.6 cutoff, for example, and we know that as we get through the various technical studies and move towards the pre-feasibility study, we'll probably pull that back to about 0.5 cutoff. So we'll see a little uplift there, and we hope that obviously the increased gold price will also have a positive effect on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have something like, I would call it almost a 20% buffer. Because 1250 to 1500, it's really nice to have, I would say.
It certainly makes a difference, And we've been drilling a lot since then. We drilled 10,000 meters to get to the PEA. Since then, we've drilled 14,000 meters. And maybe about 65% of that drilling's been directed towards infill and upgrading the inferred resource to indicated. And then about 35% of it based on stepping out and a little bit of exploration to try and increase the overall size of the resource.
So how many ounces do you have now in the resource?
Well, we only have officially the PEA resource, and that's it was 570,000 ounces at 1.37. In the PEA, that translated into 460,000 ounces with a life of mine grade of 1.5 grams per ton. And then as we get to the pre-feas, we'll be generating a new resource, and all of the mining studies and engineering will be done on that.
Of course, and that's an open pit.
I presume? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And what is the capex? Initially?
Capex initially in the PEA is estimated at 97 million Canadian, which is a very manageable Capex for a company that's got a $50 million market cap. That's about in the right ballpark.
And there's already contingency in it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
how
absolutely. 15%.
Well, that should be enough. Okay, super. So if there's a cost overrun, you can manage it. That's important. We saw some negative examples in the not so far past, and I think it's always important to have some reserves here. What are the plans now for 2020?
For 2020, things have changed for us a lot. Through the latter part of this year, we've acquired 3 more projects that we're under option. So the original project, Rohstoff, we've moved into a 70-30 joint venture with our partner. For the other 3...
Who's the partner?
The partner is a private Bulgarian mining company called Gorubsu. And they have a CIL plant, which is one of the key factors for our project. So we've got a cyanide-based vat leaching plant, which has been in operation for 10 years. And that means that we don't have to go and permit. We can already move our material to that plant and actually process it through there, which makes a tremendous difference in terms of risk for permitting and in terms of the kind of time you would be looking at to permit something like that. The 3 additional projects we've got are all held under, or we're going through an option period right now. So we have to deliver certain things. And for most projects, we deliver a resource estimate, and that earns us 70%. So overall, we're going to have 70% interest, hopefully, in 4 separate projects, all of them open pittable. And we view all of these as being satellite deposits to a central processing plant. So you're looking at a model a little bit similar to what Atlantic Gold did very successfully in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, fantastic. So that means you need like 1 processing plant and you can put the pits around, which saves a lot of money, of course.
Exactly, yeah. So in each case, you're going to be looking at an open pit at the project. You're looking at some kind of pre-concentration on site, be that gravity or flotation. That produces for you concentrate at around 30 grams per ton, and that's what you transport to the plant. And on that basis, Rohstoff in the PEA was contemplated to be 65,000 ounces per year. That plant's got capacity for 4 of those. So we can realistically, if we can find enough resources to support the project, we can realistically look at getting above 200,000 ounces per year year at peak production.
So it would be a lovely mid-sized producer.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. What's about production costs? What are the, let's call it, estimated AIC so far? I know it's not definitive, but give us an idea.
Of course, it's not definitive. The all-in sustaining costs for Rosno in the PEA were $543 per ounce, so in the lower decile. And those costs, together with the Capex, were all estimated on North American benchmarks. So as we move through to the pre-feasibility study, we'll be looking at getting actual costs for a lot of these factors and hopefully pulling that back a little bit, maybe by 5 or 10% would be a good outcome. And that will obviously help the overall economics of the project as well.
Wow. I mean, anyway, $543, this is outstanding.
It's fantastic.
I mean, that's really fantastic. Super. For the work upcoming in 2020 and also then for pre-feasibility, feasibility studies, what's cash in the bank? Because it all costs money, of course.
Yeah, and over the last 2 and a little bit years, we've raised a total of around $18 million for the company. The latter $9 million came in one tranche from Atlantic Gold, actually, who invested in the company. And Atlantic invested that $9 million that closed in March 2019. Atlantic subsequently was purchased by St. Barbara for $800 million cash. But the investment in Velocity was within a subsidiary company, which was dividended out to shareholders and subsequently listed in its own right. So that shareholding of Velocity actually sits in a company called Artemis Gold. The chairman and CEO is Stephen Dean, just as it was at Atlantic. And they've raised $33 million. So they're a well-cashed up company, and basically their only asset is shares in Velocity in Bulgaria. So they've got a great interest in what we're doing.
And so what is your cash balance now? Is that
cash balance right at the end of the year will be about $2.5–3 million.
Okay, and that's definitely enough for 2020.
No, that's definitely not
so
exactly enough.
You have to do something. Okay,
for sure. Like when you're moving forward like this and you're drilling 4 projects, you always have to look at topping up and putting a little more finance into the company.
So let's talk a bit more about your shareholder base. In total, I would call it. What's management share? Because it's always important that you have skin in the game.
Absolutely, yeah. Management, being 4 individuals, have got 29% of the public company right now.
Super.
19.2% sits with Artemis Gold, which is the subsidiary that came out of Atlantic. But they've also got warrants and convertible debentures, so they've ultimately got a right to get to around 37%. We've got 13% sitting with a high net worth individual in the United States who's a close personal friend and business associate of mine. And then that leaves a float of around 36%. But honestly, even within that float, there are some fairly large shareholders within Vancouver. So, truly the float of the company is probably more like about 20% in terms of trading float.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like a healthy structure to me. Last question, Bulgaria itself. I mean, you are in Europe here.
And
absolutely. Let's say mining in Europe is something which we did over at least 500 to 1,000 years, for sure. We had some examples, let's say in Spain, which was a little bit of trouble with permitting. All of a sudden they were pushed back. How is mining in Bulgaria?
Mining in Bulgaria is very good. We've had multiple projects being permitted for mines over the last few years, and it's got a good mining law. In terms of TSX listed Canadian companies there, the main one is Dundee Precious Metals, who have got 2 operations, and this year their Krimivgrad project, which is about 20 kilometers away from Rosno, declared commercial production. So they're in full production on their 2nd operation. Then the next most advanced company in terms of Canadian companies is probably us. We've got Resources PEA. We're moving to pre-feasibility study. And then coming along behind us, there's a lot of companies who've been in the country for quite some time, who've got exploration projects. Some of those are moving towards resources as well. So, fast forwarding a couple of years, we hope that we'll see quite a number of Canadian-based companies and publicly listed companies, also AIM-listed companies coming into the country, which is good for everyone. Yeah,
fantastic. So, and it sounds to me a little bit like that you are like in a, would call it mining area, because when you're only 20 kilometers away, infrastructure must be good. So, like power, water, roads, etc., everything is there.
Yeah, welcome to Europe. It's a wonderful thing. There's a little paved road that goes all the way to within 2 kilometers of our proposed open pits at Rosno, and essentially nobody lives there. So it's a pretty great infrastructure system for us.
Jesus, I would call it you have all advantages on your side.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Keith, thank you very much. It's a great insight. And good luck. I would say keep it going, because Bulgaria needs jobs and taxes also. And we need definitely more gold in the markets as production is shrinking worldwide. And so, hopefully what is it, 3-4 years? We can see you in production latest?
Yeah, the Rosno, as we move Rosno towards feasibility and eventually to permitting, we're looking at having a permit in place, hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years. So it's about that schedule.
Super, perfect. Then I would say keep it going, and thank you very much.
Good, thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was Keith Henderson, the President and CEO of Velocity Minerals, and you heard a fantastic project in Bulgaria. There's one open pit which can be brought up with several satellite deposits, and $543 AISC so far in the PEA. This is a fantastic value, I would say. Even if this would go up in the future a little bit, it doesn't matter, because with those gold prices, it looks really fantastic. They have calculated at 1,250, so that's also very conservative. I would say check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Zurich.